Coming up on this edition of Out of the Blue from Middle Tennessee State University, we explore how our Disability and Access Center creates a level playing field in academics and campus life for almost 1,000 of our students. We introduce you to a biology professor whose research will help instructors understand the role that religious beliefs can play in student understanding of evolution. And through our partnership with Middle Tennessee News, we meet a Jones College of Business professor who's become a viral sensation on TikTok. I'm Andrew Ottman, and this is Out of the Blue. Welcome to Out of the Blue. I'm Andrew Ottman. MTSU's Disability and Access Center creates a level playing field in academics and campus life for almost 1,000 of our students. Here to tell us about this tremendous resource is the center's director, Kevin States. Well, Kevin, thanks for joining us on the show. We appreciate your time.
Well, thank you for having me.
Let's have a conversation first with the very beginning. Okay. Tell us about the center. Describe it for someone that hasn't heard of it before and the services you offer.
Yeah, so we are the Disability and Access Center. We are located in the Keeley University Center 107, right across from the post office. And so what we do is we provide accommodations for students that self-identify and then just make a request, and we set up the accommodations as long as we have the appropriate documentation. The rules of the accommodations are not to alter the design of the course. They're supposed to be a level playing field and provide equal access, not an advantage or disadvantage.
And let's break that down a little bit deeper, because I teach a course and I've worked with the center to help some of my students. Sometimes that first outreach is from you to the professor, saying, identifying a student that has a special need. And what are some examples of the things that you would advise a professor to keep an eye on or to help?
In order for a professor to know for sure, unless a student self-identifies to the professor, is to get an accommodation letter from our office. And so how we set that up is we meet with the student, determine the accommodations, and we have a self-portal database that the student can make the request, and then once we approve, the letter goes to the professor. The professor will receive a letter from our office essentially once the student makes that, and the professor should then communicate with the student about arrangements. If there's any questions or concerns, professors should reach out to our office to discuss some accommodations, because we usually make accommodations based on general perspective and not usually one class. So sometimes it may say, hey, this accommodation, I don't know how it fits with this course, and those are things that we are glad to answer.
Terrific. You use the phrase a level playing field, and I think that's important. Can you elaborate on that a bit?
Sure. So level playing field is just not to provide an advantage for a student. The student has to show the same amount of work just like any other student. It just may be something such as more time on tests. It could be something like that may require some creativity. But an example may be where not level in playing field would be somebody like, oh, well, they don't put in the same amount of work or the same amount of effort, or if they didn't do well on a test, they may get to redo the test. Those are things that usually would be considered not being at the equal level playing field. The center on your website describes itself also as a cultural hub. Walk us through that. What do you mean by that role that you provide? Yeah, so the culture hub to us means that disability is just like any other diversity initiative to us. And so we try to provide the information. We want other places to take disability as an initiative to equal playing field or equal access, maybe, and we try to provide information. So let's say there's an event going on and there's a student that needs an individual request. We can communicate to that event if it has to deal with specifically with students, and we can definitely try to give advice on how to make that equal access instead of, us just strictly running it ourselves.
The Adaptive Technology Center flows through you guys. What is that and how does that help?
The Adaptive Technology Center is located in the library, 174. They're part of our office, and so what they do is they provide access for students in the technology field. So let's just say a student needs something in Braille. We can set that up. Let's say a student needed, like screen reading software that can read out loud, whether somebody with the processing, whether it's Braille or whatever the scenario is, or read out loud for visually impaired or those kind of things. And we do a lot more than just reading software and those kind of things, but that's just a part of what they do, and they are located in the library 174.
How do students typically find out about you? I imagine that's one of your number one priorities, is making sure people know that you're there to help.
Yeah, so it is a good question because students do have to self-identify with our office to get registered. And we still run into that, but we try to communicate whether it's on a syllabus for each instructor and try to make them aware about our office. We do a lot of outreach. We go to customs. We are always trying to communicate with professors. We try to communicate to students, but it's still a learning curve. We still get students register at the end of every semester. I didn't realize you guys existed, or those kind of things. But just in collaboration with many departments is our best way of getting out there.
Well, Kevin, can you describe some of the disabilities that the center helps address?
That's a great question. So our population, most people associate our office with mobility or physical or vision or hearing, and those are all still populations we serve, but our largest populations now are mental health, learning disability, ADD, autism, chronic illnesses type stuff. So we serve all types of disabilities, and so as long as it qualifies, we'll meet with the student and discuss if there's a combination that we can help with those.
I would imagine one of the challenges that you have to overcome with those students sometimes is the associated and perhaps ill-placed stigma of approaching you. Walk us through the strategies you try to help folks overcome that.
Well, the first thing we do is communication through our front desk. If there's a student that does reach out, we do get that still. We understand why it's a stigma. A lot of students sometimes are like, well, if I register with the Disability and Access Center, one, I will only be associated as a disabled student, or two, I'll get categorized and there's more to it, or maybe I'll be looked at differently. And so what we do is when we meet with students and when we communicate with students, is we're just saying kind of like, hey, this is just a level playing field. You still got to do the work just like anybody else. This is not providing you an advantage. And so most of the time when we meet with students, and we also explain that the students still can kind of have control over what they want to release to instructors or to folks, then they understand that, hey, okay, I still have control and I didn't realize that this is what it is. And honestly, we've seen a huge increase of students getting registered with our office. So I think more students are feeling more comfortable getting registered. I would say in the last 5 years, there's probably been about a 30 to 35% increase of students getting registered.
What's your population now? Who do you serve?
We are near 1,000 students. So about 5 years ago, it was usually around 600 to 650.
Okay. So where do I go to find out about what you offer, and how do I reach you to find out how you can help me?
Yeah, so the easiest way is if you go into our website, it's just mtsu.edu/DAC. And on the very front page is how to register, the very first one, front and center of the page. And just click on that link. There's an online application. It takes 10 minutes, give or take a few minutes to fill out. It's completely accessible. And then we just need the appropriate documentation. And once we get both, then we just set up an appointment. And we're flexible about how we do appointments. We have been more flexible about whether it's virtual or phone or in person. So we do various ways of meeting.
Kevin States, Director of the Disability and Access Center, thanks for joining us and telling us about these services.
Thank you for having us.
And we'll be right back.
The Charlie and Hazel Daniels Veterans and Military Family Center, located at Middle Tennessee State University, is the largest and most comprehensive on an academic campus in the nation. we lost our patriot Charlie on 6 July 2020. The creation of the Generals Fund was his last public event in support of our military.
So many men and women that have served that expected to be able to have their tuition or certain assistance being given to them, and that money evaporated. With the establishment of the General Fund is to make sure that all those men and women can get through MTSU and pursue what they thought they could do when they came on back.
We're extremely proud that the Predators have identified the need to help make this fund one of the best at our university for our veterans.
It's very important just for me personally that they offered this fund, and I feel like there are a lot of students on campus like me whose benefits run out and they aren't aware of that. To be the first recipient of the Generals Fund is truly an honor. I'm the person that if I'm the spokesperson or the face of something, I want to do it to my best ability, and just to help share this experience with other students just like me who are military dependent on MTSU's campus that can receive help from the Daniels Center, because everything here in this center is just here to help us. What the Generals Fund means to me, it's a help when I'm falling. So if I'm struggling or anything, I know I can come to the Daniels Center and they have me, they have help for me, they have a way to figure things out.
Join us, contribute to the continuation of Charlie's legendary support of our military.
Do you want more out of your college experience? At Middle Tennessee State University, that's exactly what you get. More majors, more opportunities, more guaranteed scholarships, up to $20,000 over 4 years. MTSU, Tennessee's University of Opportunities.
Welcome back to Out of the Blue. I'm Andrew Ottman. An MTSU assistant professor of biology recently received national recognition for her research that suggests a difference in culture and beliefs between science instructors and students may lead to low acceptance by minority students of evolution. Dr. Elizabeth Barnes, who joined our faculty in 2020, joins us to discuss her findings. Dr. Barnes, thanks for joining us on the program.
I'm excited to be here.
Let's start with the news first. Late last year, you received a national award. Can you tell everybody what it was and what it was for?
Yeah, absolutely. I was really excited. It was from the National Association of Biology Teachers. So this is an organization that's been around for decades that supports teachers and their teaching of biology. And they give an annual award out every year for somebody who has contributed greatly to the teaching and learning of evolution and advanced the teaching and learning of evolution. And I was really excited to be awarded that this year. I had the same researchers that were giving me the award were the researchers that I was reading their work when I first started doing this. So,
how wonderful that must have felt.
Yeah, so it was a really great moment.
Wow, okay, so this is the entree into, let's talk about the research itself. Talk about this interesting topic that you've explored quite extensively and what you've learned.
Yeah, absolutely. So for the last 8 years, I've been studying how to teach evolution in undergraduate classrooms, specifically thinking about how students' religious identity might influence their learning of evolution. And we, specifically me and my collaborators, came up with a new framework for teaching evolution called religious cultural competence and evolution education, really recognizing that oftentimes when instructors are teaching evolution at the college level, they're teaching students with religious identities that the instructor themselves are not as familiar with or do not share. So for instance, 75% of the American public identifies as Christian but when you look at biologists, who are teaching evolution at the college level, only about 25% of them identify with a religion at all. But religion is one of the main factors that's going to influence whether or not students are receptive to learning evolution. And so we've developed this framework to help secular instructors be more effective and culturally competent at teaching religious students about evolution.
That was a pretty huge aha moment that you had in that. I mean, I don't suppose many have considered how that fundamental misunderstanding of the cultural awareness of the student and where they're coming from impeded their ability to really absorb or even connect with the professor that's teaching that. How did you get familiar with this? How did this emerge?
Yeah, so I myself, as an undergraduate biology student, was very excited about science and very excited about biology, and I thought evolution was just one of the coolest things I had ever learned in my entire life. This idea that all of life on Earth comes from one common origin that started billions of years ago was just an amazing idea to me. But then I also found out that about half the American public doesn't think that that's a real thing. And I was fascinated by that. At the same time, I myself did not have a religious background at all. And so I had a hard time understanding the rejection of evolution. So when I went into classrooms where evolution was being taught, I was often taught by instructors who shared my background, which was not a religious background. And I found that they often made comments that could be interpreted as being negative about religion, or they would assume that evolution and religion have to be in conflict with one another, right? And they would present it in that way to students, not realizing that about 3/4 of their class actually identified as religious themselves. And so one time I went into a classroom and an instructor had presented religion and evolution in a way that seemed conflictual. And afterwards I heard one of my peers say, I don't think I can come back to this class. And it was really one of those moments where I had that aha moment of the religious background of the instructor is really influencing the way they're teaching and the way the students are receiving that. So yeah, that's how I kind of came to that moment of we really need to take into account the cultural differences between scientists who are communicating and the people that they're trying to communicate effectively to.
So I suppose the recognition you received with this wonderful award will go a long way to answering the question I'm about to pose, but how do you connect your findings and your recommendations to professors who may not know that they're in need of those recommendations?
Yeah, so we've done a lot of research to try to reach this community, right? And we've tried to publish in journals that biology instructors read so that they can see the results of these studies. So for instance, one study that we published recently that seemed to really strike a chord with the biology community was to document that 50% of our introductory biology students think that they have to be atheists in order to accept evolution or to think evolution is true, which is a fundamental misunderstanding of the nature of science, actually, because all of science, including evolution, is agnostic. It doesn't explore questions about the existence of God or anything outside the natural world. So to identify to instructors that 50% of their students had this basic misconception about the nature of science, I think that helped. It's become the #1 read article in the journal in my field that I published in, and I think it's because it's something that instructors didn't really know was happening with their students, right? And now we're making it visible with this research so they can start to see the need for maybe addressing, explicitly that evolution does not say whether or not there is a God or not. That is not a scientific question that we answer as scientists. So whether you believe in God, that's fine with evolution, or whether you don't, that's also fine. And so it's helped to highlight that need to instructors.
#1, that's amazing. Congratulations on that. If you were mentoring a new faculty member or a junior faculty member who's trying to explore, well, what's the #1 thing I need to keep in mind when I'm approaching this topic? I realize it's more complicated than I'm making you draw it down to, but what's a short piece of advice you would give someone who's concerned about this?
Yeah, I would say that there are some very simple things that instructors can do that can actually make a really big difference. So first, actually providing examples to students of religious scientists who accept evolution. Our research is showing that can make a big difference for how students feel about the compatibility between science and religion. For instance, Dr. Francis Collins is the director of the National Institute of Health, and he also was the director of the Human Genome Project and has done a lot of evolution education research work, so a very important community member in the science community, but he also identifies as an evangelical Christian, right? And so showing examples of breaking the stereotype of a scientist having to be an atheist who accepts evolution, Francis Collins helps show that it's possible to do both, right? To be a scientist, identify as a Christian, and also accept evolution. So that's one thing that instructors can do is to just provide examples of these individuals that exist in the scientific community.
Before you go, I have to ask you your STEM story. How did you get engaged into science? What sparked your interest into this field?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So I entered my academic career, my higher education academic career as a community college student with no high school diploma or GED. So I actually left high school when I was 16 years old, and I started community college when I was 19 without that high school diploma. And for me, I was a first generation student, so none of my family had graduated college before me at that point. And the way that I knew to rise above that socioeconomic status kind of was to become a doctor. And so I was pre-med and I wanted to become a doctor, but you take biology classes to become a doctor. Yes. And when I took those biology classes, I realized that it was science that I loved and biology that I loved, and particularly evolutionary biology. And so that sparked in me my passion for pursuing this field. At the same time, I was also really interested in social psychology, and social psychology really has helped inform all the things that I've done in evolution education. So yeah, that's how I got started in science.
Dr. Barnes, what a great story. Thank you so much for coming on the program and sharing it with our viewers.
Yeah, thanks for having me here. I really enjoyed it.
We'll be right back.
I am True Blue.
As a member of this diverse community,
I am a valuable contributor
to its progress and success.
I'm engaged in the life of this community.
I'm a recipient and a giver.
I am a listener and a speaker.
I am honest in word and deed.
I am committed to reason, not violence.
I am a learner.
Now and forever.
I am a Blue Raider.
I am a Blue Raider.
I'm a Blue Raider.
True Blue.
Nothing is more expensive than a missed opportunity that could have changed your life. Maybe you're just graduating high school, or are working and need to earn a degree to advance your career. Or you aspire to be a leader, and a graduate degree can make that happen. Whether you're just starting out or retooling for the future, Middle Tennessee State University can help you get there. MTSU, the University of Opportunities.
You know you gotta climb higher.
Do you want more from your college experience? At Middle Tennessee State University, that's exactly what you get. More majors, more opportunities, more guaranteed scholarships, up to $20,000 over 4 years. MTSU, Tennessee's University of Opportunities.
The Charlie and Hazel Daniels Veterans and Military Family Center, located at Middle Tennessee State University, is the largest and most comprehensive on an academic campus in the nation. We lost our patriot Charlie on 6 July 2020. The creation of the Generals Fund was his last public event in support of our military.
So many men and women that have served that expected to be able to have their tuition or certain assistance being given to them, and that money evaporated. With the establishment of the General Fund is to make sure that all those men and women can get through MTSU and pursue what they thought they could do when they came on back.
We're extremely proud that the Predators have identified the need to help make this fund one of the best at our university for our veterans.
Join us, contribute to the continuation of Charlie's legendary support of our military.
Welcome back to Out of the Blue. I'm Andrew Ottman. We conclude this episode with the first of what we hope will be many featured contributions by students from our School of Journalism and Strategic Media. They are working for Middle Tennessee News, a relatively new student venture coordinated by Professors Daniel and Christine Eschenfelter. Middle Tennessee News provides students with valuable learning experiences, both in front and behind the camera, in live television production, news and feature reporting, and sports broadcasts. Middle Tennessee News last year scored a top 10 win in the National Hearst Journalism Awards program, as well as a National Telly Award for the November 2020 TV news special, 100 Years of Broadcasting, which tells the story of a century's worth of broadcasting in America. True Blue TV, the home channel to this program, will feature reports from Middle Tennessee News throughout the coming year. But starting with this show, we feature a reporter whose work is very familiar to me, my daughter Sarah Oppmann, with her story on a marketing professor in the Jones College of Business who's become a viral sensation on TikTok.
TikTok, a social media video app, has taken the world by storm since launching in 2016. With over 1 billion users, TikTok has become one of the most popular apps worldwide. When the app was first launched, it was targeted for a younger audience. The majority of users were preteens to young adults. However, as time went on and popularity grew, TikTok spread to the older generations. What many may not know is that Middle Tennessee State University is home to one very popular TikTok creator.
Actually, it started as a joke. I told my daughter, Simran, that I want to make a TikTok which is just welcoming my students.
Dr. Raj is a marketing professor at MTSU who has a viral TikTok account filled with hilarious videos about his life as a professor. But he never expected to go viral.
And he says, the video that we just made is going viral. And I said, what? Why is anybody interested in me welcoming my social media class at MTSU? And I don't know, it just, so we looked into her account, and it was about 10,000 that time in 2 hours, and we were wondering what is going on. And we went to bed, and morning we got up, and it was like 40,000.
Today, Dr. Raj has over 150,000 followers and 3.7 million likes. He now makes videos every day.
What I'm trying to do is to create a brand. I mean, I'm a marketing professor. I should know my marketing, right? And that was right from the beginning. I never posted a single video which is not aiming towards my brand. My brand is a professor who posts TikTok about a relatable environment at a college/high school/education.
Dr. Raj has not only gained a following by making people laugh, but has gotten students and adults alike excited about marketing.
For Son of Odin.
Access denied.
So many people commenting that, I remember this, my college days. I remember I did this when I was in college. And the one that really boosts my ego, saying that, I wish you were my professor, or I wish I was at MTSU when you're teaching rather than 7 years ago when he graduated.
Sarah Oppmann, Middle Tennessee News.
Thank you, Sarah Oppmann, and thank you, Middle Tennessee News, for that report. That does wrap up this edition of Out of the Blue. A reminder, you can find news about the campus 24 hours a day by going to our website, mtsunews.com. You can also find special features about the university on our social media platforms, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. I'm Andrew Oppmann. Stay safe, stay on course, and remain true blue.